House Intel Committee, and we're still watching there for Tulsi Gabbard to finish her opening statement, for the questions to begin. We'll dip back in as soon as that happens. But this all comes after The Atlantic just published all the texts from an unsecure group text with Trump officials discussing plans for imminent airstrikes in Yemen, and she's discussing that now. Let's listen.
Was inadvertently added to a signal chat with high-level national security principals, having a policy discussion about imminent strikes against the Houthis and the effects of the strike. The National Security Advisor has taken full responsibility for this, and the National Security Council is conducting an in-depth review, along with technical experts working to determine how this reporter was inadvertently added to this chat. The conversation was candid and sensitive, but as the President National Security Advisor stated, no classified information was shared. There were no sources, methods, locations, or war plans that were shared. This was a standard update to the National Security Cabinet that was provided alongside updates that were given to foreign partners in the region. The Signal Message app comes pre-installed on government devices. In December of 2024, CISA stated, quote, "We strongly urge highly targeted individuals to immediately review and apply best practices provided in the guidance to protect mobile communications, including consistent use of end-to-end encryption." And they named Signal as an app as an example of such an end-to-end encrypted messaging app. Ideally, these conversations occur in person. However, at times, fast-moving coordination of an unclassified nature is necessary, where in-person conversation is not an option. I'm also aware that a lawsuit was filed yesterday on this issue. As a result of that pending litigation, I'm limited in my ability to comment further on that specific case. My Office of General Counsel will be in close contact with the Department of Justice on this matter. The most important thing to the American people and to all of us is the success of this military operation against terrorists who have been and continue to attack American service members was extremely successful, thanks to the leadership of President Trump and the actions of our brave men and women in uniform. As the heads of the American people's intelligence community, we will continue to provide the President, you in Congress, and our warfighters with timely, unbiased, relevant intelligence to keep our country secure, free, prosperous, and at peace. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Director. For 5 minutes, I want to talk about, before I get into the threats, I want to talk about something we've talked about in this committee and in this setting before. We've had IC agency leaders commit to complying with our document requests but not follow through. And I don't know if this is due to direction from previous administration or middle management obstruction, but I find it completely unacceptable. In fact, I had to subpoena the NSA in order to cooperate with our AHI investigation last year. As you all know, it's the charge of this committee to conduct rigorous oversight, and part of that oversight is to occasionally requires us that we request documents from your organizations to enable our investigations. We cannot adequately do our jobs without your partnership and your cooperation. General Hawk and General Cruz, we had this conversation.
Okay, Chairman Crawford, he has 5 minutes on the clock right now for his questions, but since he's not addressing this, I want to get quickly some fast reaction from our panel to what we just heard from DNI Gabbard addressing specifically this Signal chat. She said this reporter was inadvertently added, but she maintained the conversation was not classified, no sources, methods, or war plans were shared. Let me get your reaction first, Mark Polymeropoulos.
Yes, you do, Chairman. Again, I'm a bit incredulous at this. I guess this is the line they're going with, but it is clear to me, it is clear to everybody I talk to in Washington, both current and former officials, plenty of Republicans as well as Democrats, that this was absolutely classified information. And, you know, when you talk about the timing, the 3 types of weapon systems to be used, F-18s, MQ-9 drones, as well as Tomahawk cruise missiles, and then finally the target location, Yemen, that is clearly classified information. You're doing so in advance. So to me, I do not understand in any fashion how they are sticking to this line. And, you know, she's under oath, and I would hope the Democrats challenge her on this. But again, incredulous.
I mean, the information is what it is, Mark Zaid, and we were just putting up the Pentagon's sort of definition of what would be considered secret level classification. And it would appear to a layman like me that the information that was provided in this text kind of falls into that category, particularly the disclosure of significant military plans or intelligence operations. What's your reaction to what we heard from the Director of National Intelligence just now?
Well, as far as I understand, she just made big news from anything I've ever heard that the Signal app comes pre-installed on government devices. Yet at the same time, as you referred earlier, NSA had issued a warning about the vulnerabilities of the Signal app, whether it might be on the desktop computer or on a cell phone. I mean, that is new because most of the time when I have my intelligence clients, they have been warned not to use encrypted apps, even on their personal devices, from an insider threat concern, because they look to their employees, go, well, why would you need an encrypted app on your phone except to leak to journalists or leak to foreign nations? So you don't need to have conversations with your cousins on an encrypted app, so don't put it on your phone. So that is something incredibly new. I know Director of the CIA, John Ratcliffe, yesterday had testified also that people had Signal on their desktop computers, and I immediately went out to my Intel clients to ask, is that true? And everyone was incredulous about it, except until this morning, where apparently just recently they actually were putting it on their CIA computers. It looks like there's a convenience issue here more than an operational security matter that's at issue for all of this. And the chairman, who, Mark Polymeropoulos, and I know because Mark's a client of mine, and I know MAGA World is going, like this right now because we're both on at the same time. We have worked closely with Congressman Crawford on AHI issues, and what he's saying was incredibly important. The chairman, Republican, making comments that he in the legislative branch are still getting pushback from the executive branch on gaining access to classified information. And it would be information just like in these text messages that any executive branch, whether Democrat or Republican, would usually not share because of the highly sensitive nature of what those contents were and who was discussing it.
Aaron Gilchrist, it did strike me that she addressed this in her opening statement. The fact was yesterday during the hearing before the Senate panel, she sort of dodged a lot of the questions related to this Signal chat. She came out now. Clearly, the administration feels like it has to get in front of this, or what do you read from sort of that change in tactic?
I think the administration has been trying to control the narrative here and not necessarily get sort of in front of things right now.
I guess they're already behind.
Yeah, exactly. But it's been clear that President Trump and other top members of his administration have been trying to